Welcome to this episode of the Customer-Centric Retailing Podcast. This is Anil Patel, founder and CEO of Hotwise Commerce. In this podcast, we discuss e-commerce, omnichannel technology, pre-order management, brick-and-mortar operations, retail culture, innovation, and how all these elements come together to create customer-centric retailing. Join us to hear the brightest minds in the retail industry share their experiences and thoughts on the most relevant topics today. Hello, Akash. I'm really excited to have you here and welcome our audience to another episode of Customer-Centric Retailing Podcast. Like I said, today we have with us Akash Samtani. He's head of e-commerce at Lippy Outdoor. Amazing. I'm really happy to have a conversation with you, especially in the Central America, South America region. That's interesting for me also. So I'm really excited about having this conversation. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Anil. It's been an amazing week. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm super excited for this episode. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and everything is great over here.
Yeah, awesome. So, Akash, this is amazing. You have a really wonderful career. You've done that, and especially that highlights is your experience working with the tobacco industry, which is more focused on on the physical retail. But then you are head of e-commerce at the outdoor company. Now that is a big shift. Generally, I don't see these things, such career shift. So I'm really interested in your career path, where you started, how you got into this whole e-commerce business, and now for today you have all this experience of physical and digital, and now you're leading the e-commerce business at the great outdoor company. So tell us about your experience, your life, where you started and where you are today.
Sure. So first of all, studies are first. So I studied Bachelor of Business Administration here in University of Chile in Santiago. And my first experience was in the beauty industry in L'Oreal, specifically in the dermocosmetics area with two brands, which was Vichy and La Roche-Posay. And then for the next 3 years, I was brand manager for Ralph Lauren Fragrances, Giorgio Armani Cosmetics, Diesel, and Victor and Rolf, leading the strategy and deployment of the brand for Chile in the digital and physical space and the retail ecosystem. So we're working with third-party retailers over there in e-commerce and in physical stores. Then the journey shifted towards a new industry, which is what you mentioned before, which was tobacco at British American Tobacco, in which initially I was a brand manager for Kent and Dunhill, not only for Chile, but for key Latin American markets such as Peru, Paraguay, and a few projects for Argentina, where we created and launched a set of products for all the markets mentioned before. And after that role in British American Tobacco, I shifted to the digital sales manager, where I had a huge challenge, which was to lead the digital transformation of a traditional company to a fully digitalized our tobacco distribution in Chile. And after 3 years in BAT, I got recruited by Shopee, which is the Southeast Asian marketplace, as a cluster sales lead for the lifestyle category, where we had to launch the platform here in Chile and recruit new sellers in order to operate in the Chilean market. And after that, I wanted to accelerate my know-how of international markets and worked at Heyday, leading two brands in the digital space. There it was 100% e-commerce through an own site, D2C, and Amazon Marketplace for the US and few European markets. Also launching new product lines and expanding the current ones to new markets in the fully digital ecosystem. So definitely there's been a long journey where digital sales has been a part of my role from the initial days in L'Oreal back in 2016, where digital wasn't as advanced as it is today, until Heyday, where I was already leading two brands in 100% digital environment, which brings me today in my current role as a head of e-commerce at the Andes brands, leading two local outdoor brands for the Chilean market in the digital space.
This is great. In fact, I think I focus too much on your tobacco industry experience, and that's where I picked up this whole physical retail, because in our life we generally don't see as much of tobacco or regulated industries are not as much traded in digital compared to in the physical. So that's there. But at the same time, yes, like you said, you've been in the cosmetic and really high end fashion, and then coming into this tobacco, and then now going back into outdoor retail, which is again generally people in outdoor space are also much more tech savvy, and they start their journey in the digital space, but then they go into physical stores and all that. So there's a lot of omni-channel, or you would say that intermixing of various channels from where they buy and where they experience your products and all that. So that's like really amazing journey where so much anything and every complexity of a digital, or like traditional business where you have to go through the whole digital transformation. At the same time, you have first-hand experience of working with a digital first companies. So this is actually like really amazing, that's like two extremes, right? Because like the companies in traditional way, they are, for them, even everything is pen and paper. Even invoicing is paper, and collecting, reconciling money, everything is happening on books. On the other side, in the digital world, everything is like digital. They don't see as much of paper. So what do you think about this transformation from traditional style of doing business to going for like a digital first business? How are people responding, and how the companies work in these scenarios, transformation scenarios? And tell us about your experience, what we can learn from that, because there's a lot of companies that need digital transformation.
For sure, that's a very good question. And what you were mentioning before, I think every company in a certain degree has a digital side where either they're in a very digitalized position and they need to start getting into the new trends, or other companies that are more traditional and see this digital component maybe as something very far ahead, but it's part of this. It's definitely a part of the strategy of most of the companies. And I think 2020 was the year where everybody realized, you know what, we have to digitalize, or eventually we see a very big risk in the operation of the business. And alongside with that, I have a very particular experience, which was British American Tobacco, which was the one we were talking before, where we're talking about 2019, 2020, a very high regulated industry. As you know, tobacco, basically marketing is banned. You cannot communicate products each time the communication is going lower. So there was a big challenge in terms of digitalizing the traditional business. So given a bit of a context, we're in COVID, our workers couldn't go to attend the traditional stores. They couldn't go and sell physically. So I was in this role as digital sales manager, and the title basically was, we need to digitalize everything in a matter of months. So it was like, all right, what do we do? We have our sellers that cannot go out. We don't have any digital platform. So how do we figure this out? We need to start selling through digital. Otherwise, the business basically just go down because you can't sell. So we decided to create an app where physical stores could make their tobacco orders, and the next day we would deliver it with a sales rep straight to their store, which in today's world, 2024, probably it sounds super logic, but back in 2019, this brought us a set of amount of challenges. So in Chile, we have over 40,000 traditional stores, and few of them are very big convenience stores, which, they have all their processes standardized. They already have like normal POS. They receive their orders with normal. They shift to digital with them. Like there's no major challenges. But there is a big part of these 40,000 that are family-owned markets that have been attending generation through generation. So first it started with the father, then another son went in, and then the son of the son, and et cetera, et cetera. So basically the store keeps the same for a huge amount of years. So of course, implementing a digital app to these physical stores brought us basically three main challenges. So number one is education. How do you teach them and how to use an app? And in a few cases, how to use a phone. It happened to me that I used to go to few stores, traditional stores, to implement this new app, and I used to see someone between 80 to 85 years old attending the store, and they had their own Nokia phone, and basically they couldn't make digital orders, and it was of course a very big setback how to implement digital sales when you don't even have the device in order to make your own order. So that was a very big challenge. A second one was road to market. So how do we accelerate this new app, considering that the clock is ticking due to the pandemic and that the industry is extremely regulated, as I was mentioning before, regarding communication, since basically tobacco marketing is banned. And third is we have a direct distribution. So how do we shift the role of our sales rep, who used to go and take the order and the next day someone used to deliver it, in order to start selling not only tobacco, but other key products that are essential for these stores, in order to maximize, of course, the implementation of this new app. So solving these issues were crucial for a correct implementation of this new tool, which was a success for the company and definitely changed the way of working of the company. And this experience was a game changer for my career. And of course, it helped me understand few fundamentals of e-commerce, which I have applied until today. So it was a very big challenge, but we believe it was correctly solved, tackling these three challenges that I mentioned before.
Yeah, so these challenges that you mentioned, one of them that really stands out for me is that when we implement digital processes, especially in capturing in the revenue side, when you are taking an order or servicing a customer and selling them something, the sales the people in the sales community are actually target oriented. They have sales targets, they get commission based on that. So when sales community sees digital channel, they see it as a competition. Naturally for them it's like a competition. So tell me about, like, was this a challenge for you? How did you manage this whole scenario where digital is perceived as a competition by the physical retail or the traditional style of doing business?
Exactly. So what happened is exactly what you said. So the sales rep probably were thinking, what this digital app that's doing like basically the whole work for me. They can take orders from them. There's no need for me to go to the store and basically sell. But we understood and changed like the shift and role of the sales rep in the sense that besides the order management taking from the store, the sales rep had a key role in terms of education about the products. We were launching new tobacco products that had new filters, new flavors. So all of the key component of education, the sales rep had to be there to change the communication that was in the store, to educate about the product. So the role shifted from someone who was taking an order to be more to an educator. And due to that, the spare time that the sales rep had, it served for us to capitalize new businesses. Because before the app, of course, the sales rep had, I have to visit, for example, 50 shops a day, and the time was limited. They used to go from one store to another, take the order, so they didn't have time to educate and inform about the products and generate, the better repurchase of the new launches specifically. And we use that time in a more efficient way to increase our number of stores pre-app versus post-app, because the extra time they used to see, like, for example, before everything was so fast, they used to go to their stores, but now that they had a bit more of time, they were like, you know what, I used to come to this place every day and I didn't realize that I have a new store that I could sell tobacco like 2 blocks away. So that was, of course, a big incremental for the company in terms of revenue, since you're you're building more stores year over year, and you're bidding a better repertoire rate on the products that you're actually selling. So it was a win-win, but it was very hard for them to understand it, because initially you think it's a threat to your job, but month over month we were very particular on shifting the role of them. It's kind of like AI today. People think that AI can come and just tackle your job and do everything, but you have to see it like as a key companionship to your work to be more efficient, instead of just thinking that it's going to replace like the whole game.
Awesome, awesome. The really good, comparison that you have drawn it with the today what people perceive as a threat. Amazing, amazing. This is great. In fact, yeah, I really like what you said. In this whole digital transformation journey, the company and the people in the company first perceive it as a threat to their job, and they see that company is trying to cut on the workforce and they are trying to save on the payroll, something like that. And but once they experience the positive impact of the technology, then they can see it as a wow, this is like you said, the term you used was companion. Like, this is my companion that will help me be more productive. So like the store associates can now actually do exactly what they otherwise want to do, which is like know the product, talk to people, help them really understand the product, make or no, so that they can actually place the right kind of order and buy, and in that process they are creating more revenues. And then they have more time available because they are not doing that dumb entering the order kind of process. Instead, they are actually now going and talking to more people, so they are creating more revenue. So it's like a win-win situation for everybody. This is really important, and I always see this come up every time in my conversations with various retailers. And what you said, it's a pattern that you have to experience the positive impact of the technology to actually uh, feel that it's going to help me. Otherwise, you see it as a competition. Uh, also, like the commission management becomes challenging in this scenario. Like, do you think with digital technology coming in, the management of commissions for the sales reps, has it become increasingly complex, or has it been become simpler, or no change, or how is that?
No, I think it's definitely simpler in the way that due to digital sales, you have an easier way of tracking the sales. So what happened with digital sales is despite you're doing the sale in this app, the whole territory that you were attending, let's say for example, north of Chile, all of those stores are still under your portfolio. So whatever you sell, it's still under your commission based. It won't like change the way of, you know what, this is digital sales and you're not getting like this commission. So basically is you're still managing your portfolio, but in a different way. So you have the incentive of using the app because you're not losing those clients.
Yeah, this is really important. Again, really good to know that something that I've seen work in US is also working for you in Chile. Yeah, because like this is I've seen a common pattern where they would associate the whole territory uh, with the store or the associate or the sales rep, and that way now the associate or the store gets the credit for the online sales from that region in some way, so that they don't see it as a competition. Similarly, in the B2B scenario, the rep gets the territory, and the orders originating in the digital channels or in the person all are treated same. So that way, the commission, now they see that there is more money in it. So that way now they are more excited to go attend to more customers because their personal interests are safeguarded, which is important. No, this is amazing. This is cool. So, but then you have like a lot of experience working in this B2B sales, and then also direct to consumer. So let's talk about that. These days, when we see newer companies coming up, new brands coming up, they generally are going direct to consumer first, and then at later date they go for B2C. So, what is your take on? And then this whole Nike. There is this whole news about Nike, like after COVID, Nike decided to go all direct to consumer, and they pretty much exited out of B2B transactions or relationships in US. I think in US, but maybe globally, I don't know. Uh, but then, like more recently, they are going back and reestablishing relationships in a new way with B2B sellers, like a big retailers in US. What is your experience? Tell us about your experience of brands going direct to consumer and complementing it with B2B relationships, or replacing them with B2B. How do you see the this game playing out?
Yeah, sure. So despite the industry, I'm a strong believer that wholesale, retail, or B2B plays a crucial role in any industry at all, in the sense that it allows the brand to quickly expand the presence across multiple regions and markets without having to manage like all of the logistics themselves. Because when you start, you see logistic can be like a very big pain. So in that sense, wholesale like helps you a lot to in the distribution side. So particularly in my current role, we do have three big retail players that have been crucial in the expansion of the brand along the country by allowing to access a wider consumer base by leveraging the networks and customer base of each one of them. But of course, this also has a few setbacks in the sense that it reduces one, your branding control. Number two, it has an impact on margins versus D2C. And since you're adding a middleman in the equation, and the most important is that you don't have access to the customer data, which helps in the refinement of an overall business strategy. So in a summary, the impact of the wholesale is about accessibility and volume, while D2C is more about control, data, and long-term brand equity. And so, in my sense, I believe like a hybrid approach is better since it helps you diversify revenue streams and reach to broader markets within the same brand.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. That definitely, like you said, in case of when you go through B2B relationships, you can expand your presence and expand your reach very quickly because you are building on somebody else's strengths also. At the same time, like you said, brand experience could be, your you can deliver have a full control over the brand experience in your own stores in D2C, whereas in case of B2B sales, the buying experience is controlled by the retailer, your partner, and that's where there's like a little bit of challenge in terms of how what information you have and how you can improve your product or build a relationship with the customer. Also, this has impact on omnichannel, retailing, which is very common these days, because we see that a lot of customers, they actually discover your product on different social media, through micro influencers or through advertisements or your company's own social presence and all that, and then all advertisement spending that we have. But then it, they go through multiple steps of learning about the product before they go buy it, and when they buy it, it's not necessary they buy it from a your store or your e-com or which B2B retailer. So that becomes challenging, and then the reverse logistics in case of after sales service with the customer. So tell us about your omni-channel experiences and what are your preferred methodology on delivering omni-channel experience.
Yeah, so omnichannel is a great question. I think it's also a very big challenge for most of the brands today. And for sure, there's been a big challenge in terms of implementation until today, since it requires to change our current ecosystem. Because usually the companies that are like very divided, and I talk about ourselves also, is physical stores in one area and digital sales is another area. So I believe there are at least three factors that could contribute to maintain a good experience, like across channels and challenges also that happen to different companies. The first one is, of course, inventory management, in the sense that you need to centralize the inventory that allows real-time visibility across retail and D2C, since it helps you enable like online purchase or offer like flexible fulfillment options, such as like the pickup in store, reserve online, or even try in store for the particular case now in the outdoor slash fashion business. Um, the second factor will be to build a unified consumer data platform that allows you to create like unified profiles and track the customer behavior across both channels, online and offline. And this also allows you for personalization in store based on online activity and vice versa, and it helps you build more effective loyalty programs across channels. So that's another key component that today it's very hard. I know there are a lot of softwares over there that help you like contribute like what's happening in physical and digital, but It's a very big challenge in terms of interpretation. And last but not least is the challenge of bringing a consistent brand experience, which I believe in today's world is something more quick to implement in our own stores and D2C, but more complicated when regarding the previous question, we had the third party retailers. Um, for us, it's extremely important that the customer expects a consistent brand experience regardless of the channel, in the sense that we are particular about our visual elements, language, brand tone, etc. And in this case, for this last element, I believe like the luxury industry does a great job. But when I was leading Ralph Lauren and Armani and L'Oreal, I was extremely delicate, like in our marketplaces and retail stores, in order to maintain like a similar experience in terms of communication in both channels. So yeah, definitely a very big channel, but I believe that in today's world is extremely important to reassure sustainability and growth of the business.
Yeah, this is really important, and like you said, omni-channel, definitely the brand experience is the most important part of it. Is like you having the good control, and for sure having your own digital and physical presence makes it so much more easier because you have full control over it. At the same time, uh, this is also again very important because like when customer is looking up any item, they are trying to, they're thinking in terms of buying it and having it today or in like a 2 days or something like that. 5 day or 7 days is not as much appreciated, or not, customer don't like it as much these days. And that's why like full flexible fulfillment options is the other one, other important, and which actually comes up only if you really keep track of your inventory. And so like keeping track of inventory, while software there are multiple options where we can have technology, we can buy the software and use it, but buying the software is one thing, and implementing it, making sure all our users are adopting it and then making it successful, it's a very different ball game. And that's where it becomes really challenging, is like making sure I'm getting the right software is the one thing, but then once your software, you have made that decision, everybody in the company is like committed to make sure that deployment and delivery of the software is successful.
Exactly. But at least here regarding like the inventory part, in Chile, at least for our own stores, retail stores, the inventory capacity is super limited, at least in the big malls here. So you have to be very accurate on what you send and avoid like out of stock, specifically like in very big like commercial periods, like for example, Christmas, Father's Day, Mother's Day, etc. So one thing, of course, is sharing inventory now with a digital space, and the second is be super like accurate on the inventory that you're sending, because a slow mover in retail, it's basically a space that you lose for a potential retail sale or now an e-commerce sale. So yeah, it's a huge challenge in terms of definition of assortment and of course operational excellence in order to maintain, of course, a sustainable path.
Yeah, and also like one other thing that in my experience working with various retailer has come up is um, when you have your stores in the shopping malls, especially the malls that are you know people want to be there, like a popular malls, the malls that can pull customers in, they are in the revenue share model, so they want to make get a piece of every sale that you are making. Now in those scenarios, if you are doing buy online pickup in store, or are you fulfilling online orders from the store, now in this case actually the sale did not actually originate because of the footprint you get from the shopping, having a store in the mall, but that revenue is counted as a sale from that store, and that's why the mall owner wants a cut out of it, and that's like a challenge. So even like the how much of inventory that is available on this in this store, I want to make it available for selling online, and also like how many of the orders, or which orders should I actually send to the store for fulfilling to the ship to customers, that also adds another level of complexity. Have you experienced something similar in your case?
Exactly. It's definitely what you mentioned above. So for us, omnichannel is still like a work in progress issue. just number one, because of the inventory constraints I told you recently. And number two is exactly what you said right now. Like, all right, we're gonna generate a sale. Like, does it go to the store or does it go to like a digital landscape? And then we go to the other problem that we were talking previously, and that we had in BAT is, all right, since it's a digital sale, do you get commission based on that sale because it happened online, or does it go to the store? So yeah, we're trying today to solve like those challenges in order to roll out a future implementation in the next couple of years. But those two issues have definitely been a challenge for us.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, definitely, because and these are not new or anything unique about your business. This is like a universal in the retail space. That's why even I know it, even though I'm not a retailer myself, but like I've talked to enough retailers, and this is one of the most common ones. So at least I'm sure you already know this, but you should feel good that it's not unique to you.
For sure. Oh no, and it's definitely a challenge. And it's impressive to see few retailers that have nailed a correct implementation here. Well, specifically in the States. Um, I was recently there, as I was mentioning before. I used to go to a store and I wanted, for example, a shirt. Already they had like a new management to see if the inventory was like behind. They used go and get it for you. They used to know where it was in the store. They already have like a specific pickup space in the store. That happens also in not only retail stores, in restaurants. Like at least here in Chile, there's a big trend in that the restaurants already have like their own pickup delivery service. So it's shifting to giving the same unified experience, but blending both channels, which is of course the main challenge that we're looking forward to solve here.
Nice, nice. Yeah, this is great. And I'm hoping that, everybody's looking forward to AI. And someday, looks like sometime soon, AI will help us solve all these challenges that we have today in our life. So, so like, how are you seeing this AI, which today, in my conversations with many people, it definitely gets tagged along with the word hype. Like, it's hyped and let's see how it goes. Some get scared about AI, others like, well, they say it's dumb, it's not actually even intelligent. So there are like, mixed feelings around among people about AI. How are you getting feeling about it? Are you excited about AI? How using it in your business? You think it will help improve the productivity?
Yeah. I think this is the $1 million question for 2024. Everything is AI, AI, and for sure, AI is being a game changer for the retail in general, and specifically for e-commerce. So I'm a strong believer that the biggest currency is time, and AI for sure is a key enabler to optimize certain processes along the chain in order to understand the customer needs better and optimize our operations and in order to be more efficient, of course. Right now, we are at an early stage where we are using AI in two principal areas. The first one is more in the customer experience side and in our D2C site, where we are focusing on building personalized recommendations through the customer purchase history in order to improve customer engagement by making the search and discovery process in the site easier and impact, of course, directly in our conversion rate. And on the other side, specifically for fashion industry or beauty, try-ons can be a very big challenge in D2C. So we're using AI to be able to help our customer to find the correct fitting in order to reduce the return rates, which is of course a pain in the category directly in our site and or store, and give them a more accurate view of products before purchasing directly in our site. And the second big area, which I believe is more advanced, is in paid media investment. So current platforms such as Meta and Google have changed the game when it comes to paid media. So years ago, there was a big focus in building a correct segmentation of our customers in the platform, like in order to deliver to the correct audience. Today, thanks to AI, the creative asset is the new segmentation. Like, what do I mean by this? Like, the role of the creative asset has evolved to become a dynamic, data informed, and audience responsive element rather than a static piece of content. So they serve as living or evolving components that adapt in response to audience data, like enhancing the relevance, personalization, and impact of each ad. So our creative teams, now backed by AI, can deliver assets that align with audience needs, strengthening engagement and elevating the brand's presence like across challenge. So those key issues have been like super relevant where we have been able to implement AI like in a short stage. Of course, I believe there are multiple other areas to be implemented, like for example, in regarding logistics and demand forecasting, what we were speaking before, like the inventory that we have in different stores. AI definitely can lever to be more to make that process much more efficient than it is today. But for sure, I'm a strong believer that, as I said previously, it's a companionship to the process more than just replacement of our current like ecosystem.
Yeah, this is important. Like, we have to see AI as a companion, and then like various roles that you talked about, all these roles see it as a companion, and then they can use AI to help them. And particularly in content, there is a lot where AI can be helpful, because as a human we have to go through like a lot of data, a lot of information from the society, about the customer, about their purchase history and all that. Based on all these things, there's like a content has to be created and provided to the customer. So there's like, we are dealing with a lot more data today than we used to like 25, 30 years ago. So if we think that the way of working we had 25 years ago will work, can keep us and make us successful even today, it's not possible, because today the way of doing things, the data that we are handling has increased many time, and it's going to keep growing at much faster pace now than it was growing before. So this AI definitely if used in the right way, could be very helpful as we go forward in our day in day out, day-to-day life.
For sure.
This is really good, and I'm really happy that I had the opportunity to talk to you. Amazing, a lot of good information, fun conversation we had today. I want to really thank you for your time and all the insights that you have given me.
Yeah, thank you so much to you, Anil. It was great talking to you, and hope this could be helpful to everyone who's listening. And yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Akash, thank you very much. Yeah. That's it for this episode of the Customer-Centric Retailing Podcast. If you like what you heard, you can subscribe on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and Google Podcast. Please rate and review and recommend to a friend or a fellow retail fanatic. This podcast is presented by Hotworks Commerce.